What if I told you that everything you think you know about yourself is a lie? That the person staring back at you in the mirror isn't really you, but a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep you trapped? There's a French philosopher who discovered something so dangerous, so threatening to the very foundation of how society operates, that even today, decades after her death, most people refuse to face what she revealed. Her name was Simone de Beauvoir, and she uncovered a truth so powerful that it could completely shatter the comfortable prison you've built around your own existence. But here's the thing. Once you see what she saw, there's no going back. You can't unsee it. You can't pretend you don't know. Are you ready to discover why your entire life might be nothing more than an elaborate performance? Why everything you believe about freedom, choice, and identity could be keeping you enslaved? Because what Beauvoir found will either liberate you or terrify you into staying exactly where you are. The question is, which one will it be? Picture this. Paris, 1940s. A brilliant young woman sits in a cafe watching people hurry past the window. But Simone de Beauvoir isn't just people watching. She's witnessing something horrifying. She's seeing human beings who have forgotten they're human. What did she see that shook her to her core? She realized that most people aren't living their own lives. They're performing a script written by others. A script so deeply embedded that they don't even know they're acting. Think about your morning routine. Did you choose it? Or did society, your parents, your culture choose it for you? When you picked your career, was it really your dream? Or were you just following a path that seemed safe, normal, expected? Beauvoir discovered what she called bad faith, the unconscious decision to pretend we have no choice when we actually have infinite choices. It's the moment we say, I have to, instead of I choose to. But here's where it gets dangerous. She realized that this isn't just about individual choices. It's about an entire system designed to make you forget your own power. Every institution, every social norm, every "that's just how things are" is actually a carefully constructed cage. And the most terrifying part? You're the one holding the key. Why is this discovery so threatening? Because once you see the cage, you can't pretend it doesn't exist. Once you realize you're the architect of your own prison, you can no longer blame anyone else for your life. Are you starting to feel uncomfortable yet? Good. That discomfort is the first sign that you're waking up. Here's the brutal truth Beauvoir exposed. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of them. Right now you might be thinking, but you don't understand my situation. Stop. That's exactly what she's talking about. That voice in your head making excuses? That's not you. That's the programming. Look at your life right now, your job, your relationships, your daily habits, your fears. How many of these did you consciously choose versus how many just happened to you? Be honest. Beauvoir called this living in bad faith, and it's everywhere. It's the person who stays in a toxic relationship because love is supposed to be hard. It's the individual who hates their job, but won't quit because I need the security. It's you scrolling through social media, comparing your life to others, then wondering why you feel empty. But here's what's really disturbing. We choose this unconsciousness because consciousness is terrifying. It's easier to be a victim than to be responsible. It's simpler to follow the crowd than to forge your own path. You know what? If this message is resonating with you, if you're starting to see the invisible chains around your own life, hit that like button, because recognizing the problem is the first step to freedom. And subscribe to this channel. We're going to keep pulling back the curtain on these uncomfortable truths that could change everything. The question is, are you ready to stop being a character in someone else's story and start writing your own? Or will you close this video and go back to the comfortable lie? Because what comes next? There's no going back. Now comes the part that will either liberate you or send you running back to your comfortable cage. Beauvoir's most dangerous revelation. You are condemned to be free. What does that mean? It means that every single moment of your life, you are choosing. Even when you think you're choosing not to choose. Even when you feel trapped, you're choosing to stay trapped. But I can't just quit my job, you say. Wrong. You can quit your job. You're choosing not to because you're afraid of the consequences. But I can't leave this relationship. Wrong again. You're choosing to stay because you're terrified of being alone. This is what terrified people about Beauvoir's philosophy. She stripped away every excuse, every victim story, every "I had no choice" narrative. She forced people to confront the most uncomfortable truth of human existence. You are 100% responsible for your life. Think about that person you admire most, the one living the life you wish you had. What makes them different from you? They stopped making excuses. They stopped waiting for permission. They stopped pretending they didn't have choices. But here's where it gets really dangerous. If you accept this truth, you can never again blame your parents, your circumstances, your past, your genetics, your education, your lack of money, your age, your gender, your race, nothing. You become the sole author of your existence. That's why most people reject this idea. It's not because it's wrong. It's because it's too powerful. It places the entire weight of your life squarely on your shoulders. Are you feeling that weight right now? That crushing realization that you could have been living differently all along? That every day you've wasted was a choice? Good. That weight is your freedom calling. So how do you break free from this existential prison you've built? Beauvoir didn't just diagnose the problem. She gave us the blueprint for revolution. First, stop trying to find yourself. You don't find yourself. You create yourself. Every day, every moment, every choice is an act of self-creation. The person you were yesterday, that's not who you have to be today. Beauvoir lived this principle. She refused to be defined by society's expectations of what a woman should be. She didn't ask for permission to be a philosopher, to have unconventional relationships, to challenge every norm. She simply became who she chose to be. Here's your first step. Start catching yourself in the act of bad faith. When you say "I have to," stop and rephrase it as "I choose to." When you say "I can't," ask yourself, "What am I afraid will happen if I do?" Second, embrace the anxiety. That uncomfortable feeling when you think about making a real change. That's not a warning sign. That's your authentic self trying to break through the programming. Beauvoir called this anguish of freedom, and it's the price of consciousness. Third, stop seeking approval for your choices. The moment you need someone else to validate your path, you've given away your power. Your life is not a democracy. You don't need a majority vote to live authentically. But here's the radical part. You must choose yourself every single day. Freedom isn't a destination. It's a practice. It's the daily decision to take responsibility for your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your results. What would your life look like if you stopped making excuses and started making choices? What would you do if you truly believed you were free? The answer to that question is who you really are. Here's Beauvoir's final warning, and it's the one most people don't want to hear. The world will fight your awakening. Society needs you to stay asleep. Your family, your friends, your colleagues, they're invested in the version of you that doesn't rock the boat. When you start living authentically, you become a mirror that reflects their own inauthenticity back at them, and they won't like what they see. Beauvoir experienced this firsthand. She was called dangerous, immoral, a threat to traditional values. Why? Because she dared to live as a free woman in a world that wanted her caged. She showed others what was possible, and that terrified them. When you start choosing consciousness over comfort, expect resistance. People will try to pull you back into old patterns. They'll say you're changing, being selfish, going through a phase. They'll use guilt, fear, and manipulation to keep you small. But here's what they don't understand. Once you taste real freedom, you can never go back to the prison. Once you see the cage, you can't pretend it's a palace. The price of consciousness is often loneliness. Not everyone will understand your journey. Some relationships will end. Some doors will close. But here's what Beauvoir knew. It's better to be alone and authentic than surrounded by people who only love your mask. If you've made it this far in this video, you're already different from most people. You're willing to face uncomfortable truths. Write "awake" in the comments below. Let me know you're ready to stop sleepwalking through life. You've shown the courage to question everything, and that takes real strength. But the hardest part is still coming. Because now you have to choose. Will you act on what you've learned, or will you let this moment pass and return to the comfortable lie? This is it, your moment of truth. Right here, right now, watching this video, you are standing at the crossroads of your entire existence. Beauvoir once said, "One is not born, but rather becomes." The question is, what will you become? Will you close this video and return to the script society wrote for you? Will you go back to your comfortable cage and pretend this conversation never happened? Or will you do what terrifies most people? Will you choose the dangerous path of authentic living? Because here's the final truth. Tomorrow morning, you will wake up and face the same choice you faced every day of your life. You can choose consciousness or unconsciousness, freedom or prison, authenticity or performance. But now you can't claim ignorance. You can't say you didn't know. Beauvoir's warning has been delivered. The cage door is open. The key is in your hand. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you use it to transform your existence? Or will you bury it under layers of excuses and distractions? Your life is not a dress rehearsal. This is not a practice run. Every day you wait for someday is a day you choose to remain asleep. Every moment you postpone your authentic life is a moment you'll never get back. Beauvoir lived dangerously. She chose freedom over security, truth over comfort, authenticity over approval. She became who she was meant to be, not who others expected her to be. The same choice stands before you now. Will you have the courage to become who you really are? Or will you remain a stranger to yourself forever? Your existence is waiting. Your authentic life is calling. The only question left is, are you brave enough to answer? The revolution begins with you right now. Choose wisely.